If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Video Gamers Podcast. If this is your first time, we are three dads with day jobs who are all lifelong gamers, and on Thursdays, we talk about gaming news stories over the last 7 days. I am your host, Paul, and joining me, he's here, but you're gonna have to pay for the Gold or Ultimate Edition to get the Season Pass to be able to hear him. It's Josh.
Let me tell you about the cosmetics, though, guys. The premium Josh Battle Pass, you get
the Josh skin suit.
You get mythic, legendary, ultra. It took 2 years to make each skin.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
sounds like it's worth $70 extra to me.
Absolutely.
It's a shame your parents skipped out on that one.
Yeah. Touche, Ryan.
All right, and then joining Josh and me, he sees a mushroom cloud and he's using his thumb to see if he should head for the hills or not even bother. It's Ryan. It's a very scientific test,
yeah,
Ryan.
Absolutely. That's all you got to do. Just throw that thumb up there. I didn't even know that's where that came from. Like that's the he's the poster boy.
Yeah, I guess that was like a thing back in the 60s, all the fear of, nuclear war. All right, guys, we have such a fun week. We have a lot of news stuff to cover here. Some of it I think is really good and exciting. Some maybe not so much. I feel like whenever we have Star Wars news on the docket, we always have to start there. There's actually quite a bit to talk about here. I know there's some crazier stuff, so don't pull out your pitchfork quite yet. Let's start with the official story trailer. Josh already has it out. He's already ready.
Putting it away.
All right, we got an official story trailer. I think it was just a shade under 3 minutes long. Personally, I was a little underwhelmed. To be fair, I am not really a huge Star Wars fanboy. I'm more curious to hear your guys' thoughts. We've already seen a little bit of gameplay, which I think grabbed all our attention, but how do you guys feel about the story that we saw?
Well, I after I paid my premium trailer fee, $4.99, to be able to watch it, I didn't feel really much of anything. I wasn't more hyped for the game. I wasn't let down. I didn't feel like I saw a lot that I didn't already know about. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of mainly indifferent on the trailer. I didn't really do much or take away from me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think I might be the biggest Star Wars nerd out of all of us, as well. So maybe that plays into it a little bit. But I actually liked the story trailer. The part that I think I liked the most was that this was not, it's all just about Jedi and the Empire and stormtroopers and all that stuff. Like this was the rest of the Star Wars universe where it's the scoundrels and all the alien races and the interactions there, these beautiful, gorgeous planets. The kind of the dirty side of Star Wars, right? Like the bounty hunters and the cantinas and stuff like that. So, and I like that, man. I liked the idea of these just nobody characters kind of being the story. I've said this before, but Andor was one of the best Star Wars series I've seen in a long time. And it's because it focused on the characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this story trailer kind of gave me that vibe. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be as good as Andor was, but what I liked the idea that they're focusing on just a slice of life in the galaxy and in the Star Wars universe. And I thought the trailer looked, it was graphically, I thought it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think graphically it looks good. Story-wise, they just didn't show a whole lot of the story. I do love the idea of playing as a female bounty hunter. I think that's awesome. I love that it takes place during the original trilogy. I still think the gameplay looks like a lot of fun. And we probably should mention that we do have a specific release date now, August 30th. So not too far out, just a little bit over 4 months. Now, I will say, I'm a little concerned that a lot of this gameplay seems to revolve around the 4 syndicates and you have to earn reputation with them all. I don't know if that's just going to be a series of like unrelated missions or if we're going to have to actually make choices where maybe we have to like betray one syndicate to gain favor with another. I'm kind of curious to see where all that goes. We just don't really know a whole lot yet there. But, all right, pitchfork time.
Here
Josh,
we go.
I know you've been waiting.
Oh, man.
Get your torches! Pitchforks! You can't be an angry mob without pitchforks!
All right, Star Wars Outlaws, the base cost is $70 for the standard edition, but guess what? No surprise, you can pony up $110 for the gold edition, or if you're a billionaire, $130 for the ultimate edition. You get 3 days early access, a season pass, and access to the Jabba the Hutt Gambit mission, which is available on day one. Yes, we're gatekeeping single player content available on day one only if you pay extra money. Josh, tell us your thoughts.
Oh, man. This sounds like an Ubisoft game, man. Oh, wait, it is an Ubisoft game.
What a shocker.
Oh, boy. Dude, okay. Take a breath.
You gotta throw on
Breathe.
some music and let Josh
Breathe.
just vibe here for a minute.
Breathe for a second. What are you doing, Ubisoft? Like, honestly. First, we have the disaster that is Skull and Bones, and you guys claiming that this is a quadruple A title game. Listen, I haven't played a single minute of Skull and Bones, and I am so thankful for that. If somebody, I'll put it this: if somebody goes legendary and tries to make me play Skull and Bones, I'm just refunding the $100, man.
Take it back.
You know. So okay, but this is the problem, right? It is like I am getting into that grumpy old man stage of my life where I'm not as willing to put up with crap anymore. I have said before that I've uninstalled all Blizzard games off of my computer. Do I miss them? Yes, I do. They're fantastic games. Battlegrounds is coming out with duos soon. And I'm like, ooh. And then I went, nope, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not supporting the just crazy just monetization. And that's all they care about is just how can we soak people for a $60 freaking horse in Diablo 4. Ubisoft releases crap game after crap game. Tries to say that they're quadruple A titles. Like, how disassociated with gamers can you possibly be and still be a freaking game development company? Like, what? How is that possible? And then you release a single player game with content that, number one, you showed off in your story trailer.
In the commercials.
Because
yeah.
I was like, ooh, Jabba the Hutt. Heck yeah, man. I love the whole huts and the crime and all that stuff. Guess what? You don't get to play that part of the game unless you pony up a freaking $140 for it, man.
To be fair, we don't know if it's only one mission or how much is gate kept, but regardless, it stands.
Yeah,
the criticism is fair.
Yeah, from release, from day one.
Yeah, and so and not only are they trying to say, hey, you're getting this ultimate edition for $140, you get 3 days
gosh.
early access to
That's
a single
so much
player
money.
game. Listen, when it was Diablo 4 and you got 3 days early access, like that at least I could understand because there's open world like PvP in the game, there's the dungeons, I mean, that's more of like an MMO type game. So it's like I can at least wrap my brain around the, hey, 3 days early kind of gets you ahead of the game a little bit. This is a single player game. What does 3 days early access get you? Like,
Not much.
yeah. And so I'm
In the end, nothing.
so done with Ubisoft at this point. And I know that we've been railing on them forever. And as much as a Star Wars nerd as I am, there is a part of me that is legitimately like, I'm not sure if I want to play this game, man. Like it's that bad where it's just like, come on. Like, what are you doing?
The thing is, they know that you'll say that, but then you'll still play it.
You shut your face, Ryan, and you're probably right.
And that's what because they know that we'll gripe and moan and complain, and then we'll still either get the game or we'll get their next release or something like that. People, it's just to have those grounds to stand on and to really like just I am not crossing this line. They crossed it and I'm done. It's really hard to do because we're gamers. We love this stuff. We love the Star Wars universe. We want to play these things, and they take advantage of that. And it's just you know, remember the times before, you know, these games with like before the internet, when a game released, it had to be done, completed, the whole game, and no bugs or issues. Now everything is pretty much a mess, you know, most of the time when they release stuff, and they have day one updates, halfway through day one updates again, you know, and then all this, you know, paywalled content. It's just, it's gone too far. And when is it going to go far enough to where people really do make that stand?
Where do you draw the line is the question.
Yeah,
right. Because
exactly.
I joke around about, you know, I'm kind of done with Ubisoft, which is true. Like that part is true. I haven't cared for any of their games in a long time. And you know, yes, none of us are going to pay for anything other than the base version, which is $70, right? So it's like, number one, it's already $10 more expensive than what most games are used to. And I get that, hey, the price of games might be going up. So number one, we're not paying for the premium one, but see, this is where it comes in, right? Like if this game releases and reviews come out and it says, hey, this is a 6 out of 10 game, you don't have that FOMO, right? Of like, oh man, I'm missing out on such an awesome like Star Wars experience. If the reviews come out and I'm like, I'm not buying this game, and they come out and they're freaking 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, that's a lot easier to change my opinion at that point, man.
Well, and this is partly what worries me, because I think Ubisoft had to know that there would be backlash like this. So normally, I think you could just wait 3 months and release this Jabba the Hutt mission as DLC, charge everyone 10, 20 bucks or whatever, and people would pay it. The fact that they want you to pre-order these packs makes me wonder if they're maybe wavering about what that response will be. I mean, time will tell. We don't know for sure. We're hoping it'll be a good game. Being this podcast, we're going to have to buy it.
It's our job.
If we didn't have the pod, I think Ubisoft would certainly be dead to me and Josh, maybe Ryan as well. But we'll keep our eye on this one. You know, it's still one of the bigger releases this year. We'll keep our eye out for end of summer for Star Wars Outlaws. Before starting our next story, if any of our listeners have not yet checked out Patreon support options, please go do that now. You can support us for $5 a month. You get bonus episodes. You can even choose a higher tier, like Josh mentioned a minute ago. You can go legendary, hijack a host who has to play a game that you pick, and we'll come back and report on it. We do rely on listeners for support. If you'd like to help support what we do, go sign up at multiplayersquad.com.
Oh, and also, guys, real quick, at the end of the episode, I'm going to put a little surprise in there, so just make sure you listen all the way through and listen to the end. I got something cool.
A little teaser there, yeah. All the way at the end of the episode. That everyone's going to want to stick around for that. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, so now that we're done talking about Ubisoft, let's talk about someone that we care about a lot more, which are smaller indie developers. The III showcase took place, and we saw 2 games in particular that were announced that we want to talk about: Slay the Spire 2 and The Rogue Prince of Persia. Now, Slay the Spire came out in 2019. It's a card deck building roguelike game. It was very successful. I played it. I know Josh loved it. Josh, I assume you're excited for the follow-up.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Slay the Spire is the game that put roguelike card deck builders like on the map, dude. I maybe there was 1 or 2 before that, but listen, Slay the Spire is the game that launched this genre into like mainstream popularity. I absolutely love that genre. I did kind of burn myself out on it a little bit because once you get in there, there's like 100,000 games available that you can play. Some of them stand out more than others, and Slay the Spire kind of stands at the top, to be honest. So this was huge news that they are coming out with Slay the Spire 2. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited for that. Now, if I remember right, it says early access in 2025.
Yeah.
And that kind of breaks my heart just a little bit. Man, I'm not going to lie. Like, listen, I'm not a dev, and I apologize to every dev out there that is going to groan with me making this statement. But this is not like a super advanced like game. It's insanely fun.
Yeah.
But it's a card game with mediocre graphics. Why is it taking this long to only give it to me in early access at this point, man?
Yeah, I don't know if it's balancing or new class design or what. Like, I know after we talked about Hollow Knight Silksong, the entire game's hand-drawn animation, so that's partly why that takes so long. Slay the Spire is a different case. But Yeah, you're going to have to wait at least a full year and a half plus to get the full version. Ryan, I know you're kind of new to roguelikes. Have you ever played a card building roguelike game?
I don't think so, and I don't know if I will. I know Josh loves it, but those are just not my vibe, man. I don't like turn-based card-based games like that. I mean, the only kind of card-based game on a game I ever liked was like Gwent in Witcher, but that's not like a battle one. That's just a card game. So yeah, I've never really messed with it. I know they have a huge following. I know a lot of people loved it. It's just, one of those, it's just not my style.
I disagree, Ryan. I think
you
they would be. I think they would be your style because they're chill. That's the fun part about them, man. Once you get into one, it's 10 minutes. And the 10 minutes turns into 3 hours.
Yeah, I definitely could see it. Like after looking at it and doing some research on it and looking at the Slay the Spire 1 and stuff, I could see, hanging out if like it released on the Switch or on my phone or something. If I'm just sitting killing some time, I could definitely see playing it, in that setting.
Yeah, and the good news is if you like it, there's a million others to play. I played Pirates Outlaws before I ever played Slay the Spire. Monster Train, I know you're also a big fan of, Josh. Yep. So if you like one,
Balatro is the new hotness right now, which is poker-based, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least you have a lot to tide you over until 2025. All right. And then let's talk about the Rogue Prince of Persia. This one is kind of interesting because it was not that long ago that Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown came out, which is a 2D Metroidvania. The graphics are great. I loved the demo. I didn't pay for the full game. Josh famously played it on Ubisoft Plus because he loves giving Ubisoft his money.
Oh, man.
The Rogue Prince of Persia is similar but different. It is also 2D, which is kind of wild. Like, why are we getting 2 Prince of Persia 2D games only 5 months apart? But this one is a little bit different. It's a very different animation style. It's a roguelike. It plays very similarly to Dead Cells. Does this strike either of your fancies?
I thought it was cool. This one out of those 2 is definitely more something that I like. I could see myself just kicking back and playing this with the kids or something like that and just running through it. I like the art style. I like the way it looked, the gameplay looked, and how you kind of, the side-scrolling look to it. It reminded me of just the setting of like you guys remember the old Aladdin on like Nintendo?
Yeah, kind of.
Immediately it took me back to that as like a kid
bit.
trying to pass those levels, so... yeah, definitely. I think it looks pretty cool. I may be interested to check this one out.
You gonna This Is Sparta kick guys off of ledges all day?
Anytime I can.
That's the best part of this trailer.
In any game, absolutely.
Yeah. I have to say, I think the game looked really neat. I mean, it's from the developers of Dead Cells. They make insanely tight gameplay. I played Dead Cells for a little while. I was very late to the game. But I mean, I expect that this will play pretty much flawlessly. The only downside for me, and this is a case of it's probably just me, but having just played the Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, it's kind of like I feel like I just played this game.
Yeah.
And so
that's what I worry about.
Yeah. And so for me, it's hard in my brain for my brain to be like, ooh, something new, because my brain's just like, yeah, you've already played that, because it looks so similar in that style. Now, I get that it's a roguelike and it's not a Metroidvania and all that stuff, but I'm having a hard time like drumming up interest personally for it. But I will say, I think it's going to play really well. The animation and like the parkour and stuff in it looks fantastic. The combat looks fun. I mean, it looks to be very well done. So it's definitely worth checking out for people.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Armageddon and Deep Impact coming out at the same time. It's just a little bit of a goofy calendar. The wall running does look cool because the background is like a wall. It's everything you see, and it lets you wall climb on that. And that looked pretty neat where you hold down left trigger. I don't even know how to describe the animation style. It's almost a little bit like Risk of Rain, but I don't even know how I would describe it.
Yeah, kind of. I can see that.
A little bit, yeah. But it does look very polished. I think it does look like a lot of fun, but it's kind of like, oh, didn't we just have this?
Why not wait like 6 months or something, give it a little bit more of a cushion, and then release it? So, but what do I know?
Because this enters early access on May 14th, so it's less than a month, right around the corner.
Early access game, man, dude. I get it, but I almost wish
it's every release.
Hold on, man. We got another game coming out early access the day this episode releases, and I'm like,
yep.
Come on.
We're going to have to change the name of the pod to Grumpy Old Gamers.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
This is just every release. Just assume every release is early access. That's just how it is these days.
I mean, it's true, but I don't know. I wouldn't care except that there's games I want to play and I want to try, and then early access is kind of like, well, I'm not getting the whole game now.
Yeah. Well, and more often than not, you're getting the whole game. It's just a buggy, unoptimized mess. At least in the case of No Rest for the Wicked, we know it's not the full game. So that's almost the more acceptable early access, kind of like Baldur's Gate 3. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a short break, and then we'll come back and talk about the Fallout series on Amazon. All right, we are back. It's not terribly often we get to talk about fun TV shows or movies adapted from video games. We did talk quite a bit about The Last of Us when that dropped on HBO. I know that we thought that was incredible. This week, the Fallout series on Amazon dropped. It actually came a day early, which was kind of fun. All 8 episodes are available. Did you guys start watching this series yet?
All 8 episodes are available, and all 8 episodes are watched by Josh and myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might have binged it a little bit.
Binge through, baby. Yeah.
How did you finish this already? I'm the chump. I made a deal with my wife to watch it with Nikki, and this just came out 4 days ago. So we have only watched 2 episodes. So I'm quite a bit behind you guys. I'm guessing you must have really been into it if you're already done with the whole series.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah. We're not going to spoil anything for anybody that's getting nervous right now. But I did watch the first episode. I think it came out last Thursday or something. It's only been out for 5 days now. But I watched the first episode and I went, that's pretty good, man.
Ended on a bit of a cliffhanger for sure.
Yep. And then I watched the second episode and then I was hooked after that, man. I just started, I remember telling my wife, hey, I'm going to go watch my show. And she's like, okay. And it was I did hardly any gaming this weekend because I was just watching Fallout a lot.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I and they did a lot of world building. There's so much in the Fallout universe. They did such a good job. And it may be a little slow for people as they kind of set all that up. But I think they really built it up well, and you don't have to have ever played any of the Fallout games to get sucked into this world and get sucked into these characters. And so, but they also, in turn, if you have played it, there's so many cool, just little things and details throughout every episode that just make you smile. You look at it and you're like, oh, there's that, or oh, there's that part, or oh, I know what they're doing, or even the music, sound effects. You can hear the caps. There's so many cool little kind of nods to the game, so you can tell that they had people in there that loved the series, while they were developing the show.
Oh, for sure. And for anyone out there who hasn't started watching it yet, I don't think this should come as any surprise. It is a pretty gnarly show. Yes. It's definitely very adult.
This is very adult.
Not kid-friendly, yes.
Parental advisory warning for, those with younger kids. To give I'm not going to share any spoilers, but for those that are in the know, they're going to remember this because I've only seen the first 2 episodes. There's one point when a certain character gets shot in the ankle, and it kind of blows off their entire lower leg. Right? I can tell you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
There's I guess I'll say in quotations, solution to this that is one of those memories that I'm never going to forget. Anytime I think of Fallout, I have a very vivid mental image of what happens there. And the fact that I already have one of those in the first 2 episodes has me very excited. It seems like it's going to be a very memorable series.
It is. And I do want to repeat, because I know that there's a lot of people that are listening that haven't played the Fallout games. Ryan said it. You don't need to be super familiar with the games to enjoy the show. They build the world, they build the story completely separate from the games themselves. So if you've never played a minute of Fallout, this is still an insanely enjoyable series. If you have played Fallout, you're going to see so many little things, so many scenes and sound effects and nods to the games themselves, where you're just going to be grinning from ear to ear, while you're watching it. Honestly, I don't think an episode went by where I wasn't oh, look look, I remember that in the game, or, you know, they just did something to nod to the games themselves. And I was just like, oh yeah, man.
Yeah. And I don't think this is a big spoiler, but like they had the rocket fuel station. And like the second I saw it, and it looked just like it did in the game and from Fallout 4. And I'm like, I just started remembering my base there, different things that happened when I played the game there. And it takes you right back. I'm in the middle of like a Cyberpunk run. But I instantly, I want to like ditch that and go play some more Fallout.
Well, you're not alone, Ryan, because I saw articles this week that said Fallout player counts for all the games have skyrocketed over the last 5 days. Yeah. So everyone's getting their Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. They're loading all of them.
The radiation sound, like immediately you hear it and you're like, oh no, uh-oh, radiation, no, careful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, and it seems like everyone's loving it. It's currently an 8.7 on IMDb, which is pretty darn high. I mean, I know all the fans are going to rate it first and it'll probably drop a bit, but yeah, everyone should go check that out, whether or not you've played the games. All right, on to our last story of the week. EA, which has taken a lot of hits on this show, published the Dead Space remake, which was developed by Motive Studio. Everyone seemed to agree it was one of the best remakes ever done.
Can confirm.
Josh, I know you loved it. You spent a ton of time putting together a video review. We only ever made 3 of them.
3, I think, yeah.
But one of them was the Dead Space remake because you loved it that much.
It's very good. I mean, if you have never played Dead Space, this is your chance because it's super beautiful and modern. If you played the original, then this remake is a true glorious remake of that. So it is well worth playing.
Well, let me ask you a question, Josh. If a remake of Dead Space 2 came out, would you seriously consider buying it?
If it was like the first one, 100%, I would absolutely pick up the remake for Dead Space 2.
Well, too bad, because it's not currently in development.
Too bad.
A little bit of a bummer.
Wait, when a game is made and that game is great, they're supposed to do the next one.
You would think. So there's a little bit of contradictory news here. There were some leaks from a well-known insider that said that Dead Space 2 was in pre-production, but that Dead Space 1 remake did not do enough sales, and so they were canceling it. EA has since come out and said, no, that's not true. We've never been working on Dead Space 2 remake. But in either case, you would think if the first one did incredibly well, they would be working on the second. So it seems like maybe the numbers just weren't there. Maybe it wasn't as profitable as they thought. EA has not released the numbers, so we don't know for sure. But it must not be like the Resident Evils where you see, I think Resident Evil 2 sold like 20 million copies for the remake, something ridiculous like that. Dead Space 1 apparently just not the case. However, EA did come out and say that the team that did work on Dead Space 1 from Motive Studio has now been moved over to work on Iron Man and Battlefield. So guys, is this ultimately good news because we know a quality dev team is working on the next Battlefield? I almost feel like in some ways I'd rather have a good next Battlefield over Dead Space 2 remake, if that makes sense.
Oh, ye optimist you, Paul.
I was going to say they should, hopefully they name it Battlefield 2043 because that's how long it'll take them to make a decent Battlefield game again.
I was going to joke, like, is being put on Battlefield like punishment now?
Like you're in the corner.
You know, yeah, like, hey, your game didn't make enough. Well, guess what? You're on Battlefield duty now. Like, no!
Guy's got his box of all his stuff and he has to walk into the Battlefield wing and it's just like
it's
craziness.
Just down in the basement. It's like
the lights are all flickering. Yeah. It's like dark.
Water's
it's like
dripping.
A dungeon.
Oh man.
I would like to think this is good news maybe for Battlefield. If we can replace everyone on Battlefield with new people, it can only go up, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's the optimist way of looking at it.
Yeah. Now, don't quote me on this, but I remember, I think it was after the failure of 2042 that they appointed that dude, Vince Zampinella. I probably just butchered that name, but he's the guy that did like Apex and stuff from EA. Because they said, listen, people are really mad at us, so we have to make some kind of announcement to make it seem like we're really sorry. And so they appointed him as like the new Battlefield director. If you're taking the Dead Space remake team too, like that does sound optimistic, but it's also EA. So if anybody can screw this up, they can.
Well, Vince Mozzarella, we're rooting for you. Oh man, do you guys care at all about the upcoming Iron Man game?
No, not
I'd say
until
my
I
interest
see
level
it.
is like a 3 out of 10.
I'm more
maybe.
interested in the Marvel
Wolverine.
Rivals game, the 6v6, than I am like an Iron Man
Oh.
game. Now, again, we
I'm
haven't
with
seen
Ryan.
footage.
Wolverine is the one that I'm most interested in seeing more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta love Wolverine. All right, well, I think that wraps up this week in gaming. As a reminder to all of our listeners, please go check out support options on Patreon. You can do that at multiplayersquad.com. You can also join our amazing gaming community on Discord. It's a family-friendly server. We have amazing gamers on there. Please come check it out. There's a link in the episode description. You can also find us on socials everywhere at Video Gamers Pod, and we would love if you would leave us a 5-star rating. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to go ahead and jump into a little surprise Ryan has for us. And until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
All right. See you, everybody.
Okay. Well, I'm going to edit this because it's going to take a second.
That was a very loud go from Ryan. I think that was the loudest one I've heard yet.
He was happy to provide that. Ryan, you're going to have to edit this out again because I thought I pasted it in my doc and then I didn't. So, or my doc got overwritten. So let me find it real quick.
I'm an idiot.
Well, I'm saving
What was
that.
I saying? You're saving that? Okay.
Brings me back to playing Bloodborne.
All right, we'll go ahead. We'll take our last break and then we'll come back and finish up this. Let me say something else.
Biscuit eaters.
You're the biscuit eater around here.
He has a horse and we didn't even know.
Wow, that maxed out my waveform.
Methinks ye should order a round of drinks at the Star Drop Inn before. Let me start over.
Oh, one last for me. Ooh, boy. I wasn't ready for this one. I thought we were ending it after that one. So, Ryan, you can edit this one out. Did you misclick?
Yeah.
You whiffed,
First time I ever missed the
whiffed
record
the
button.
click.
Yeah, I clicked right next to it. All right, well, that wraps up
It all makes sense now why you haven't been diving with me and just left me stranded.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.